For more than 7 decades, one nation has enjoyed unquestioned dominance over the world stage: the United States of America. Military power, financial control, cultural influence, the U.S. has been the center of it all. But as we enter the middle of the 21st century, something is changing. A new power is rising from the east. India, a nation that was once dismissed as poor, chaotic, and dependent, is now being watched closely by Washington. And the question many are asking is simple: is America afraid of India? And if yes, why? To understand this fear, we need to go back in time. When India gained independence in 1947, it was left broken. Partition had divided the land, millions had lost their lives, and the economy was on its knees. For decades, India struggled with poverty, hunger, and political instability. America never saw India as a threat. At best, it was just another struggling democracy in the developing world. The U.S. focused on Europe, on the Cold War, on building alliances in the Middle East and Asia. India, meanwhile, was trying to survive. But history has a way of surprising us. In 1991, India faced an economic crisis so severe that its gold reserves had to be pledged to foreign banks. Out of that crisis came bold reforms. The economy was liberalized, foreign investment was welcomed, and India opened itself to the world. What followed was nothing short of remarkable. In just 3 decades, India transformed from an aid-dependent nation into one of the fastest-growing economies on Earth. And today, in 2025, India's GDP has crossed $4 trillion, making it the world's 5th largest economy and on track to climb even higher. This rise wasn't just about numbers. It was about brains. America quickly realized that the sharpest minds fueling its own tech revolution were coming from India. Walk through Silicon Valley, and you'll find Indian engineers everywhere. The CEOs of Google, Microsoft, and Adobe are all Indian. In fact, Indian-origin executives run dozens of major global companies. America depends on this talent. But here's the twist: while Indians help build American tech, India itself has quietly been building its own digital empire. UPI, India's instant payment system, processes more transactions than Visa and MasterCard combined. Indian startups are competing in AI, fintech, and green energy. For Washington, this is unsettling. Imagine needing a country's talent to keep your own industry alive, while that same country is preparing to rival you. Economics, however, is only one part of the story. Power also comes from the military, and here too, India has been steadily growing. Since 1998, India has been a declared nuclear state. Today, it commands one of the world's largest standing armies, a rapidly modernizing navy, and a space program capable of launching satellites and even landing on the moon. The United States, of course, wants India as an ally. The Quad Alliance, America, India, Japan, and Australia, was designed to counter China's influence in the Indo-Pacific. On paper, this makes sense, but here is where America faces its biggest frustration. Unlike many allies who follow Washington's lead, India does not. It plays its own game. It buys oil from Iran even when the U.S. says no. It buys weapons from Russia, even while joining military drills with America. This independence, this refusal to be controlled, is exactly what makes Washington uneasy. And then, there is the China factor. The U.S.-China rivalry defines the 21st century. America hopes India will stand firmly on its side against Beijing. But India is too smart for that. It maintains trade with China. Even as it fortifies its borders, it participates in BRICS with China and Russia. Even as it strengthens Quad with the U.S., it's a balancing act that ensures India gains from both sides. For America, this is frustrating, because they are used to allies choosing loyalty over independence. India instead chooses strategy. But power isn't just about armies, weapons, or economics. It's also about influence. And here, India has something America cannot ignore: civilizational depth. Indian culture, yoga, Bollywood films, food, music, and philosophy have spread across the world. Millions practice yoga every morning, millions more watch Indian movies, and Indian cuisine is one of the most loved globally. Beyond that, the Indian diaspora, over 35 million people worldwide, holds immense influence. In America itself, Indian Americans are among the most educated, wealthiest, and politically active immigrant groups. They are professors, doctors, business leaders and politicians. In fact, Indian origin leaders now hold positions of power across the globe. For Washington, this is both a strength and a warning, because cultural influence is just as powerful as military might. But here's where the fear becomes real. Let's talk about today's conflicts. When the US sanctioned Russia after the Ukraine war, most allies followed suit. But not India. Instead, India increased oil imports from Moscow, refined the oil, and even sold it back to Europe at a profit. When America pushed India to condemn Russia at the United Nations, India refused. In trade too, tensions simmer. Washington accuses New Delhi of unfair tariffs, while India resists US pressure on data and digital regulations. What does this mean? It means that for the first time in decades, America is dealing with a rising power it cannot lecture, it cannot threaten, it cannot control. Think about it. When smaller nations defy America, sanctions follow, economies collapse, leaders fall. But with India, that playbook doesn't work. Why? Because India is too big, too powerful, and too important. So why is America afraid of India? It's not just the economy, not just the military, not just the culture. It's the independence, the refusal to bend, the ability to say no. For America, this is new territory. For the first time, a democracy, not an authoritarian state, is rising outside its control. And that changes everything. The truth is, America doesn't fear India replacing it as a superpower tomorrow. What it fears is the slow erosion of its dominance. A future where Washington is not the sole voice, but just one among many. A future where India, along with others, creates a multipolar world, one where power is balanced, not monopolized. For the United States, used to being number one, that is the real nightmare. And so, as we look at the world today, the story becomes clear. America is not afraid of India's weapons alone. It's not afraid of India's booming economy. What America truly fears is India's independence. A nation powerful enough to resist, strategic enough to balance, and bold enough to carve its own destiny. The 21st century is no longer America's century alone. It belongs to the rising powers. And India stands right at the center of that shift.